One sunny morning, the news spread like wildfire across Africa. France had just done something big. They issued an arrest warrant for Captain Ibrahim Traoré, the young leader of Burkina Faso. They said he was too dangerous and not listening to them anymore. Traoré, whom many people in Africa see as a brave hero, was not scared. He looked calm and strong on TV. He told his people, "This is our land. No one can control us anymore, not even France." His words made many Africans clap and cheer. But behind closed doors, people were worried. Some leaders in West Africa began asking, will France try to capture him? Will they send soldiers? Just when everyone was wondering what would happen next, Russia stepped in. Russia's president sent a strong message to the world. Touch Traoré and you touch us. People everywhere gasped. Was Russia going to protect Traoré? Soon, big Russian planes landed in Burkina Faso. Out came strong-looking men in uniforms. Some people said they were soldiers. Others whispered, "These are Wagner men. They don't play." Russia even sent special equipment, radar trucks, and drones to help Traoré protect himself. Then, something strange happened. French reporters were told to leave Burkina Faso. French companies started packing their things and closing their buildings. It looked like France was being kicked out little by little. The people in Burkina Faso danced in the streets. They waved their country's flag and shouted, "Traoré, Traoré, Traoré." But the big question was still there. Will France really try to arrest him? Or will Russia scare them away for good? After the Russian soldiers arrived, things in Burkina Faso started to change quickly. At night, big trucks moved quietly through the streets. They were carrying supplies, weapons, and equipment, everything needed to protect Traoré and his government. In the capital city, Ouagadougou, new checkpoints were built. Men with walkie-talkies stood guard, watching every road. They were ready for anything. Traoré called a big meeting. Leaders from Mali, Niger, and Guinea came to see him. These were all countries where young soldiers had taken power too. They sat under a big tree, far from cameras, and spoke for hours. When they came out, Traoré smiled and said, "We are not alone anymore. A new Africa is being born." Meanwhile, in France, the government was angry. They said, "Traoré must be arrested. He's turning Africa against us." But they didn't say it too loudly anymore, because Russia was now watching closely. Then something happened that made the whole world stop and look. A French military helicopter tried to fly near the Burkina Faso border. But before it could get close, two Russian fighter jets came out of nowhere. They flew fast, right beside the helicopter, and forced it to turn back. The video went viral. People on the internet shouted, "Did you see that? Russia is not playing. Traoré is untouchable now." Even some leaders in Europe started saying, "Maybe we should leave Burkina Faso alone." But not everyone was happy. In a dark room in Paris, a group of powerful people sat around a table. They were wearing suits, and their faces looked serious. One man said, "Russia is protecting Traoré now. But how long can they keep it up?" Another whispered, "We need a new plan. Something quiet. Something smart." Back in Burkina Faso, Traoré didn't know that a secret mission was being planned. Late one night, while most people were sleeping in Burkina Faso, a quiet plane flew high in the sky. It had no lights. It didn't show up on normal radar. This plane was not carrying passengers, it was carrying spies. The mission was simple: get close to Traoré, learn his plans, find a way to break him from the inside. But Russia was ready. Inside Traoré's presidential palace, Russian technology was everywhere. Special computers tracked every flying object in the sky. One screen started beeping. A young soldier shouted, "Unknown plane above us." "Commander!" Traoré stood up from his chair. "Wake the team. Let's find out who dares enter our airspace." Within minutes, Russian drones took off. They moved fast, like birds hunting in the dark. They circled the strange plane until it turned back. The spies had failed. The next morning, Traoré gave a speech. He stood tall on a stage with soldiers beside him and said, "They are still trying to stop us, but we are not scared. Burkina Faso is not for sale. All across Africa, people were talking. In Nigeria, in Ghana, in Congo, young people said the same thing. Traore is brave. He's the voice of Africa. But France wasn't giving up. In Paris, they started paying influencers and bloggers in Africa to speak against Traore. Fake news began to spread online. Some posts said, Traore is working for Russia, not for Africa. Others said, he is hiding secrets from his own people. This confused some people in Burkina Faso. A few started to ask, is Traore really fighting for us? Or is he just a puppet of Russia? That's when Traore did something bold. He called for a massive national meeting. Thousands of people came, old men, young women, students, farmers, even village chiefs. He stood in front of them and said, you will hear many lies about me, but I will not hide. Ask me anything. Judge me yourself. The crowd was silent at first. Then someone shouted, we trust you, Captain. Another voice followed, let them come. We will protect you with our lives. The crowd roared. Flags were waving. People danced in the streets. But just as the celebration began, a message came through the radio. Something terrible has happened in Niger. Traore's face changed. He turned to his generals. Prepare the convoy, he said. France has made their next move. The message said, explosion at Niger's military base. Many soldiers injured. Some are missing. Traore's hands tightened into fists. Niger was not just a neighbor, it was a brother country. They were part of the new African alliance with Mali and Guinea. Traore didn't wait. He jumped into his armored car. Soldiers followed him. Russian guards joined too. They moved in a long convoy, fast and serious. The people in Burkina Faso stood by the roadside, waving and shouting, go, Captain! We are behind you! When Traore arrived in Niger, the place was a mess. Buildings were broken. Some soldiers were crying. Many looked confused. Niger's leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, met Traore. He looked tired and worried. They hit us from the sky, he said. But no one saw where the drones came from. Traore looked at his Russian advisor. Can you track them? He asked. The advisor nodded and opened a laptop. His fingers moved fast. After a few minutes, he pointed at the screen. The drones came from outside Africa, he said. From a secret French base in the desert. Everyone went quiet. Tiani looked at Traore. What do we do now? Traore stood up. We don't run. We don't beg. We answer. Later that night, the leaders of Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali held a private meeting inside a tent. There was no camera, no journalist, just maps, plans, and strong voices. When the sun rose the next morning, something unexpected happened. On TV screens across Africa, a new flag was shown. It had 3 stars, one for Burkina Faso, one for Niger, and one for Mali. And a bold name appeared under it. The African Defense Force, ADF. Traore spoke on live television. If you attack one of us, you attack all of us. We are no longer separate. We are one. People everywhere celebrated. But in France, the president called for an emergency meeting. He slammed the table and shouted, Russia is making these young African leaders too powerful. We must act now. Then, in a cold voice, he said, send in the shadow team. This time, we take Traore down quietly. But what no one knew was this. Someone in France's secret team was working for Russia, and he was about to leak everything. Inside the secret rooms of the French government, the mood was tense. The shadow team was ready to move quietly and carefully. Their goal: find a way to capture Traore without making a big scene. But deep inside, one man was nervous. His name was Pierre. He worked for French intelligence, but secretly, he did not like what France was doing in Africa. Pierre believed Africa should be free to make its own choices. Late at night, Pierre sent a secret message. It went all the way to Moscow, Russia's capital. The message said, France is planning a secret attack on Traore. They will move soon. In Moscow, the message made the Russian leaders very alert. They called their commanders and told them to prepare for anything. Back in Burkina Faso, Traore did not know about the French plan yet. He was focused on building the African Defense Force. Soldiers trained every day. New weapons arrived from Russia. One evening, Traoré's phone rang. It was a voice he trusted. "Captain," said the voice quietly, "I have news. France is planning to send men into Burkina Faso soon. They want to take you by surprise." Traoré smiled. "I was waiting for that. Tell our friends to be ready." Days later, strange things began happening. Some French airplanes flew low near the borders. Spies tried to enter villages but were stopped by local soldiers. Some secret meetings in big cities were overheard. But the African Defense Force was ready. In a secret training camp, young soldiers prepared. They were ready to protect their land, their people, and their leader. Traoré stood in front of the soldiers and said, "We fight not for war, but for peace. If they come, we stand strong. Together, nothing can break us." The soldiers cheered. The people of Burkina Faso stood united like never before. And far away, in a quiet place in France, Pierre smiled to himself. He knew the game had changed. As days passed, the tension grew thick in the air. Everyone waited for the next move. But it was not only soldiers and leaders watching carefully. People in villages, schools, and markets talked about what might happen. Then, one early morning, a loud noise woke the whole city of Ouagadougou. People rushed outside. Far away, on the horizon, they saw a group of helicopters flying fast toward the city. The helicopters were French, but they were not alone. Beside them flew Russian fighter jets. The skies above Burkina Faso had become a place of powerful friends and fierce enemies. But suddenly, the Russian jets flew in front of the French helicopters. They blocked their way. The French pilots had no choice but to turn back. Everyone watched in amazement. This was not just a fight for one man. It was a fight for a new Africa. Traoré stood on the roof of a building, looking at the sky. He said quietly, "This is just the beginning." Inside the Russian base, generals smiled. They knew this was a big win. In Paris, the mood grew darker. The president called for a new plan. "Use money, use lies, use friends inside Africa," he ordered. "Make sure Traoré loses support." But across Africa, something else was happening. Young people in many countries started to sing songs and make posters showing Traoré as a hero. They said, "Africa will stand on its own." And one secret message spread quietly from Burkina Faso to other countries. The African Defense Force is ready. The world was watching, but no one knew what the next surprise would be. The days after the sky battle were quiet, but the tension was stronger than ever. Traoré knew the fight was not just about soldiers or weapons. It was about winning the hearts of the people. He traveled from village to village, meeting farmers, teachers, and children. He listened to their worries and promised, "We will protect you. We will build a better future." But France kept trying different ways to stop him. They gave money to some leaders in Africa who did not like Traoré. They spread rumors on radio and TV. Some people began to doubt if Traoré was really the hero they believed in. One day, Traoré's closest friend and advisor, Sergeant Coffee, came with bad news. "Captain, some of our allies are worried. They say Russia wants too much control." Traoré frowned. He didn't want to lose the trust of his people or his allies. He called a meeting with Russia's ambassador. He said, "We need friends, not masters. Africa must be free." The ambassador smiled and promised, "Russia is here to help, not to rule." At the same time, in a secret room in Paris, the French president grew impatient. "If we can't stop Traoré from outside, we will find a way inside," he said. A plan was made to send secret agents disguised as journalists to Burkina Faso. But the African Defense Force was ready. Their spies found the agents before they could do harm. The agents were quietly sent back. People in Burkina Faso cheered, "Our home is safe." But Traoré knew this was not the end. It was only the middle of the story. He looked at the flag of the African Defense Force and whispered, "We must be ready for anything." And far away, the world waited to see what would happen next. The days turned into weeks. Traoré worked hard to make his country strong. Schools opened again. Markets were busy with people selling and buying. Soldiers trained every day, but they also helped farmers and built roads. The African Defense Force grew. Soldiers came from different countries, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, ready to protect their homes. But the fight was not just with guns. It was also on the internet. Fake stories spread online. Some said Traore was a villain. Others said Russia wanted to take over Africa. Traore did not get angry. He smiled and said, "Let the people see the truth." He invited reporters from all over the world to visit Burkina Faso. They saw schools, hospitals, and happy people. They heard from farmers and teachers who thanked Traore for peace. But France was still trying to find a way. One night, a secret message reached Traore. It said a group was planning to cause trouble inside the capital. They wanted to start fights and make the people afraid. Traore called his generals. "We must keep peace. No violence. We protect our people, not hurt them." Soldiers were sent to watch the city quietly, without frightening anyone. The people felt safe and stood with Traore. Meanwhile, Russia sent more help, food, medicine, and tools for farmers. Traore looked at the sky and said, "This is the new Africa, strong, united, and free." But far away, in a quiet room, powerful people whispered, "The next move will be secret and sudden." What would happen next? One night, when the stars were shining bright, a secret meeting happened far away from Burkina Faso. It was in a big city where powerful people spoke quietly. They planned something new, a plan to stop Traore without fighting in the open. Their idea was to make some leaders inside Burkina Faso unhappy with Traore. They wanted to create a group that would ask Traore to step down. But what they did not know was that Traore's friends were listening. A young soldier named Amina heard whispers about the plan. She told her commander. The commander told Traore. Traore smiled. "Let them try," he said. "We trust our people." The next day, Traore went to a big meeting with leaders from all over Africa. He spoke with honesty and hope. He said, "We face many challenges, but together we are strong. We will build Africa's future." People listened. Many clapped. Some leaders who had doubts before started to believe in Traore again. But the secret plan in the big city was not finished. They decided to send a special person, a negotiator, to Burkina Faso. This person would try to convince Traore to give up power quietly. When the negotiator arrived, Traore welcomed him with respect. They talked for many hours. The negotiator said, "Your fight has made many afraid. It is time to find peace." Traore looked him in the eye and said, "Peace is what I want, but freedom is what my people deserve." The negotiator left without a clear answer. Outside, the people cheered for Traore, but the world was still watching, waiting for the next move. After the negotiator left, Traore knew the fight was far from over, but he also understood something very important. He gathered his people and said, "Power is not just about fighting. It is about caring for our people. It is about peace, trust, and working together." Traore started new plans to build schools, hospitals, and farms. He invited all leaders, friends, and those who doubted him, to work together for Africa's future. Slowly, many began to see that real strength comes from unity, not violence. Even some of the people who once wanted him gone began to help build a better country. France stopped sending secret agents and started to talk with Traore's government. Russia kept helping, but Traore made sure Africa stayed free to choose its own path. The African Defense Force grew stronger, not just as soldiers but as protectors of peace. The world watched as Burkina Faso and its neighbors built a future full of hope. True power is not about threats or secrets. True power comes from peace, honesty, and working together with respect. When people unite and trust each other, they can build a future stronger than any army. And that is the story of how Ibrahim Traoré faced the world's biggest challenges and showed that courage and peace can change a nation.